I know it's reckless speculation Thursday. I don't know that this falls into the reckless speculation category. It's more I don't know.
It's confirmation of
It's
reckless
confirmation
speculation.
Thursday
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we had speculated, and not just speculated, but through your inciting and just the people that you talked to the last few years, and even Doogie, that Ryan Suter isn't exactly the best behind the scenes culture guy. That he's got one persona that you see on the ice, and he's a grinder, and he's very stoic, and he's a Midwestern guy, right? And I think Wild fans really loved Ryan Suter. And he was in those Quick Trip commercials buying, Caesar salads from the deli and,
When
typical
I'm on
things
my
that
way
guys who
home,
make $8 million do.
I like to stop and get a salad for my family.
Thank you, Ryan. So let's play some audio here. And one more thing on this setup. I think a lot of people were sort of shocked, including Ryan himself, when Billy Guerin came in and said, guy. We are so done with you behind the scenes. We are going to eat cap hits for lunch and dinner the next few seasons just to get you out of here and build a new culture. And longtime NHL veteran Jason Arnott, he played for a number of different teams. He played with Suter for a few years with the Nashville Predators before Suter came over to the Wild. And Declan, I don't know if there's any other setup to this other than this is amazing commentary that you probably won't hear anywhere else. I mean, you'll hear it on other shows, but guys don't open up like this to savage former teammates very often.
All he would do is complain about how come he's not on the power play? How come he doesn't play enough? I can't believe this guy's making this much money. Webbs was night and day. He wanted to learn and super respectful and played hard, and so two different dynamics of mentality of players. I heard he was a huge distraction in that dressing room, and knowing Billy Guerin, he's not putting up with that, and he's cleaning house to bring back, and now look at them. They're he's built a phenomenal team without all that money and distraction.
On the Cam and Strick podcast, by the way, what do you make of those comments?
I think they're confirmation, absolutely. And Jason Arnott was a captain. He was a respected guy. I think that those are confirmation of the fact that Ryan, and to a certain degree too, throw in Zach, signed here and thought that they were going to run the show. It's a fact. It is a fact that they basically said, we want to practice at Braemar Rink in Edina because we both have homes in Edina. And this team was based in St. Paul. Now, previous to that, they did practice a lot at parades. So yeah, but when you are dictating where your teammates have to drive to practice in the winter, that says a ton. And then, so here's what Jason didn't touch on too, and this is where I think it went completely off the tracks. It's a known fact that Ryan had Craig Leopold's ear. So so it basically went from a young player complaining when he shouldn't have to a veteran player who probably said, you might want to shut up, to the owner who was compensating him with a huge contract, who is a huge fan. And that's not a bad thing, but it is a bad thing if the wrong people get to the guy who's a huge fan. So yeah, I mean, these are all, I was told flat out that between periods, Ryan would seek out the statistics and look at his time on ice to make sure that he got his. These are all things that kill a culture. Absolutely kill it. And there are fans who are like, well, who cares about the culture? Just win. Yeah, well, yeah, but culture is a huge part of winning games. And
Absolutely.
Ryan, and also too, there's a reason why throughout the course of their time here that Koivu never handed over the C or didn't flat out lose it to one of those two. So yeah, it's great stuff. It's juicy. It's fun to hear. But it is just more confirmation of who Suter was, and maybe a little bit of who Zach became as well. I don't think that we can let him off the hook completely. But when you have a situation, the most important thing I think is this. The day that those two signed, there were stories written, and at the time I thought they were absolutely true, about this is going to open the door now. Like there's going to be other veteran guys, like good veteran guys, who might take a little bit less to play here because this team is now established and it's got two guys that are seen as glue guys. Because at the time, we thought they were glue guys, right? Think about the amount of guys that never came here. And you know, there was this whole thing about they'll recruit, right? They're going to recruit these guys.
Yeah.
They're going to get them to come here. And unlike, let's say, basketball, it's the state of hockey. So why wouldn't guys want to come here and win a cup? And ultimately, you didn't see that. Why not? Because the culture stunk. Why did it stink? Because you had two guys who were in it for theirs. And look, you could say what you want, but I mean, I still don't think to this day Koivu was a great captain. I think Koivu in his prime did a lot of things well, but that locker room lacked a dynamic that I can flat out say now, and it's not that things are perfect, but that locker room now does not lack. Marcus Foligno won't have this crap, which is great. And the most important thing, as cliched as this might be, is hockey is a team sport. And when you get guys who are like, hey, this is all about me, it's a breakdown in culture that I don't think you can recover from. Maybe you can a little bit in baseball, but in a team sport like hockey, where you grow up with this fundamental belief that it's all about the entire team, you can't have a dude scouting out his playing time between periods. And look, I mean, there was a wild coach briefly here who the story was
about to say.
when he was when he was not retained, basically told Suter, you are uneffing coachable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You are and the main breakdown there, and this is the incredible thing, you guys. The main breakdown there was in the playoff series against Dallas. Suter screwed up. He screwed up a play that resulted, I believe, in a goal against in his own zone. The coach just said, he never named him. He just said, that's a play that we need to correct. Can't happen. I forget the exact wording. But he never said, Ryan screwed that up. Suter went nuts just based on the fact that the play was identified. You're uneffing coachable. That's Ryan Suter.
Yeah. No, I think, too, when you look back at the, whatever it was, 9 years that Parise and Suter played for the team, and you can nitpick any individual season and justify, well, they ran into the Blackhawks, or, well, they ran into a hot goalie here, or whatever it is. But if you look at the whole thing in totality, they had some really talented teams. Did they have the most talented team necessarily? No, but did they have enough talent at some point with the young guys that came up and with the veterans like Suter and Parise and Koivu, et cetera, to make one run beyond the second round in a decade? Yeah, I think it's a huge underachievement that they didn't get to a conference finals or a Stanley Cup or hoist a cup at some point. So then you start to look at, okay, well, why doesn't the talent, which wasn't perfect, but why doesn't the talent match up with the results in the postseason? Why are they just getting dumped in the first round and the second round unceremoniously? And now that something like this, and we had heard rumblings about this even during, but the more, once a guy is gone from the team, then people feel more free to talk about it, or once a guy is retired, feel more comfortable talking about it. And also, so I guess what I'm saying is this is part of the why. Why didn't these teams gel more? Because the leadership was suspect. But the second thing I would say is, how bad of a teammate was Ryan Suter that a former player, most guys would just not say this publicly, right? Like, I had about 20 bad teammates in my career. There's no benefit to me actually calling them out on a radio show or a podcast. How much he still thinks about this 10 or 15 years later to say what he did on that show.
And the best part is he said
about that.
He said that during their time together with the Preds, they lived in like the same block, and so they would drive to games together, and that's where Suits would complain constantly. Mm-hmm. But I mean, think about this: if you're a captain, right, and like you've had success, and you know what it takes, and some young punk like that at the time tells you what's what. I can't believe this guy's being paid that. It's gonna stick, because like I'm sure Jason has watched Ryan's career now, which, by the way, as far as the playoffs go, which in this sport is the judgment, and has seen how little he's done, right? I'm sure it's stuck. I'm sure it's stuck. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, this is a sport. Look, The 2003 Wild, think about that team, okay? Think about that team for a second. They played 3 years into expansion. Guys like Walls, who I love dearly, but I mean, Wes Walls milked every ounce of talent from his body. They play the Avalanche. So, that's not they got to break their. That is Waugh, Blake. And yeah, I don't care if they're at the end or not. Those guys know how to win. They are wired right. And you beat them in 7 games, you're down 3-1. Next round, you play the Canucks. Again, goaltending not great, but still some really nice players. You're down 3-1 again. You rally. And to your point, Phil, this collection then subsequently with a lot more talent and a lot more backing never gets past the second round. Never gets past the second round. Mm-hmm. That speaks volumes to what culture means.
And I know we're sitting here, and and a lot of people might listen to this or watch this on the Score North YouTube channel after the Wild series against the Blues is decided or whatever. But so the result of the series aside, it does feel different now. If they lose to the Blues in 6 or 7, it's definitely going to be a bad taste, and it's definitely going to feel like Groundhog's Day. But this collection feels different. The chemistry feels different. I think the fact that Kaprizov, you're allowing a young guy to blossom, and the veterans aren't getting in the way of a young player or two rising up and being the face of the team, right? Does it feel different to you guys?
Yeah, it feels different. Definitely feels different. Guerin took that calculated risk. And look, the Wild now have to field a team with $69 million in cap space when the league's salary cap is $82 million for the next 3 seasons. So he understood that risk. And he wouldn't have done that if he didn't think the culture could be better. And I think guys like, Foligno, kind of establishing that and getting those bad eggs out of the room, which was Suter and Parise. To the Torchetti point, and I heard things too, even more behind the scenes, like him and Torchetti just did not get along. And I think it speaks volumes too. And look, like John Torchetti doesn't have the same pedigree as a Boudreau, and whatnot, and other these established coaches in the NHL. But like when a dude steps in, who gets given this job from the minor leagues, and he comes in and says, "You're a problem." Like that's such an indictment on Ryan Suter, man. Like if he said that about some slappy, like you need to try harder, or a young player that maybe hasn't risen up yet, that's one thing. But he literally said that about arguably one of the top 10 defensemen in the NHL. And that's on Ryan. Like that's completely on Ryan.
And where Bill Guerin was right is this, and this is scary to say. Ryan Suter is more valuable eating up your precious cap room not being here. Like, that's the thing, because he was going to eat up cap room. The question is, okay, he's here. He's not what he once was, but you know what? He's still, a top 4 defenseman, right? You are saying, and I think Bill Guerin's right, I would rather pay a penalty for you not to work here than have you eat up cap room here, helping us out, because behind the scenes, you're such a cancer. Mm-hmm. That's what it's saying, because like the cap penalties were coming with or without him here, but they basically felt like, and look, it is no surprise, and I mean this is again so great. It is no surprise that Zach Parise was just part of a team that just fired a veteran coach in Barry Trotz, who's respected, who's going to get a job year 1, and I'm not saying he's the entire problem, but guess what? They missed the playoffs. Trotz was fired, which shocked everyone. There is a very good chance that when the Dallas Stars and Calgary Flames series is done, Rick Bowness will not be back in Dallas. That's where Ryan is now. Like, these things aren't just, that's a coincidence. These things all put the puzzle together of the disappointment that was the tenure of 2 guys who, when they got here, were very talented, but were never on the page of how can we make this place the best place, which is what we thought.
So interesting, those comments. We've got some breaking NFL schedule news here, if you guys want it. Some more breaking NFL schedule news. The NFL Schedule Leaks account that we have been referencing at an arm's length this week just tweeted, "Y'all idiots will really believe anything you see on the internet without fact-checking your sources. Anyone who has a blue check who retweeted me should lose their check."
Oh, you're kidding.
He's been duping people the whole week. Yes.
You know what?
That's
You tell him
actually
we don't
incredible.
care. You tell him we don't care.
In
That
fairness,
was-
I don't think I personally retweeted any of those. I was a
don't retweet anything from
responsible
anybody.
Twitter journalist.
I haven't retweeted any schedule thing because I am skeptical about it
No,
all.
we haven't been spreading it around Twitter. We've only been spreading these around our YouTube channel. So we
and
are
I
being
recklessly speculated on the entire Viking schedule, which, by the
Oh,
way, I stand behind. Like, I
Actually-
think this is great fun.
A little bit more too. This from Karen Gurgian, I believe she is a beat
looked
writer
that
for the
up.
Boston Herald,
I want
Patriots
that.
beat writer.
You had a run-in with her?
Yeah, I'll
No.
tell you about it.
Judd did. Okay, I was saying,
once
no, I did not. Shockingly, she
Oh, yeah.
just tweeted out, as my internet here at Hubbard is doing a great job, that the Vikings and Patriots are going to meet on Thanksgiving. So
So that is happening. That is happening.
Doogie did it.
yeah, Duke got it.
Dukes with the
Okay, what is
scoops.
this running you had?
Dukes with the scoops.
What's that?
What's this running you had?
Oh, so 2010, right before the Patriots and Vikings played in the infamous Moss game. Karen worked and I think still works for the Boston Herald. You just said, and so she came to town for the week to cover the Vikings locker room and to talk to Moss. Now Moss wasn't talking to us at the time, but one day in the locker room, I noticed she's talking to Moss because he's such a contrarian. He was going to talk to the Boston reporters. He was blah blah blah, and so I moseyed on over because at the time I was in touch with the league about the fact that Moss was not talking to the local press, which, by the way, I think you're required to do like twice a week. And Moss clammed up. So I'm going back to the press room, and she's like saddles up to me and says, "Do you often break up one-on-ones?" And I'm like,
Oh my God,
And-
that's such
and
a
I said-
passive-aggressive question.
And I said, I do when the guy won't talk to the press here, and I'm actively trying to get him fined. Yes, I do. And she gets, and then she just stormed away. And sure enough, I got him fined. I was very happy.
Congratulations.
He
Yeah.
deserved it. He got it. But she's like, "Do you often break up one-on-ones?
Let's get her on the show. Let's get her on the
Do
show and talk
you
about it.
often break up?" I'm like, "Yeah, when I'm trying to do my job, I certainly do." And this guy's not talking.
I once got that too from a South Carolina. When I covered the Final Four for ESPN Radio, and one of those gigs was I did this for the Vikings too. Like you go in the locker room and you literally your cell phone over, and then the ESPN host will interview the player
Yeah.
via your cell phone. And after the national championship, I think it was South Carolina, I got a one-on-one with someone, and some South Carolina beat writer just looked at me and said, "Did you clear this with the SID?" Like his teeth just gruntled. And I said, "No." He said, "You're supposed to." And I said, "All right, go get him
Screw
then,
you,
'cause
dude.
he's on the phone." Yeah, I was like, "Then go get him then." I said, "Go get him then and let him take the cell phone out of his hand.
Right.
Go for it. And go and do
okay,
that."
Good for
okay,
you.
Mackey and Judd Journalism Class 101.
Good for you.
Stop being at the mercy of PR people with sports
Yeah.
teams.
Right.
You have a
Yeah.
job to do. Go do your job. Yeah.
Exactly right. Well, especially for like that. Like that's a good job by you, actually.
Yeah,
To
you're
not
doing your
clear it
job.
and to go
Yeah.
get, because I have never done that job, but I have to think that's a pain to like actively try and
sucks.
get a guy to go on a radio show, hand him a phone like post game when guys are like hyped up. That would not be fun.
Yeah, I did that for one Viking season. Had to do it like 4 different
you did it?
times.
I did it
It's like
for
back in
3,
like
4 years.
2005.
So like with good
stuff.
players, or like would you
Like
try
Corn
to get,
Robinson, you
Yeah,
like
you
Corn,
kind of get
you-
like the second to third tier. And of course, like the producer is always saying like, "Oh, can you get Diggs or Kirk?" It's like, no,
Right.
there's no chance
I'll
they're
just-
going to do that.
I'll just
but
go
I can
grab
get you
Kirk
Everson
real quick,
Griffin.
yeah.
Yeah, I can get you Eric Kendricks. I can get you one of them.
I appreciate that.
By the way, NFL schedule leaks tweets again. Literally none of that ish was real.
This is awesome.
You know what you should do? Retweet him though
I
and
am.
say thanks for the fodder, dude.
It's amazing.
Because it's true. But you know what?
Oh, it's so great.
There's a fighting chance that
Break up
that
one-on-ones.
that account will end up like accidentally being right on 2 or 3 things.
Oh, for sure.
So
And
hey,
then what they were
no,
doing
back to
is
that.
when a game would actually get reported, they would go back and say, "Hey, sorry, we missed this one. It's actually
anyway,
this." Yeah.
full credit to Darren Doogie Wolfson for the Patriots Vikings scoop. It sounds like that's right. Good
Yes.
job, man.
Okay, can we get to some old
Yeah.
tweets exposed here before we
do it, man.
wrap the show? All right.
Before we
Let's
get
do
more
it.
fights.
It's been a very
Journalists.
very active 24 hours on Twitter for your boy here, old Macadac, getting chirped at by Byron Buxton's
I wanna hear
wife
this.
last
Yeah.
night.
Yeah. I hear your thoughts.
So, okay. So I tweeted, I don't know, yesterday, a couple days ago, and I don't have my tweet in front of me, but I tweeted that Byron Buxton, despite not having landed on the injured list, has managed to miss 37% of the Twins' games so far this season, in like a little kind of, I don't know, like a exasperated face, like a face, you know. And again, this is just, I am probably the biggest Byron Buxton homer and stan that there is. I've been calling him the best player in baseball for 2 years. I was the one on this show that said, no, you should give him $100 million and just cross your fingers. And Lindsey Buxton chimes in and says, keep that same energy all season, Phil. Listen, first of all, where were you when I was the only person wanting to give him $100 million for the last 2 seasons? The only person calling him the best player in baseball. Now you chime in a moment of frustration?
Again searches his name.
I guess. I don't know.
Sam Ponder.
Or someone might have sent her the tweet or something. I don't know. So add her to the list of Mackey and Judd player wives that have either blocked us or chirped us on Twitter over the years.
But
Sam Ponder.
Here's what I don't like about that one is it's like the exchange that I had the wife of
the reliever guy.
Yeah, Blake something.
Blake Parker.
Blake Parker. You didn't. Your tweet and exasperation was not criticism. It's like, my God, I wish he could play.
It's a fact. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, it's also like regret. Like you want to watch him play. Like it's not like Buxton's being soft. Well, I feel like if people are going to get mad, especially family, I want it to be because I savaged the guy, not because I was like, well, I wish this guy could play.
Well, yeah, and I guess I understand the frustration you're trying to stand, but first of all, you guys have $100 million guarantee coming your way. Why are you bothering to search names on Twitter? Just go enjoy your life. You guys are going to be fine.
Yeah.
But secondly, when you talk about keep that same energy, what's the energy I've been keeping for years on this guy? That he's an incredible player and he's the best player in baseball. Like, where are you?
Really does.
Jump into my timeline then. Maybe
he likes it, Phil.
Maybe go back to one of those tweets and just comment and say, thank you for supporting my husband. Okay.
What if she showed that to Buck and said, Byron, this is why you need to play more. And she's motivating him through you.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be the case.
Like what if she's on, keep it up, Phil, because he played last night?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they played like 5 minutes and then a tornado ripped through Minneapolis. But
yeah, I got a doubleheader to get to.
I was frightened.
That's true. Declan does have a doubleheader to get to. So let's get to Old Tweets Exposed.
I was frightened.
Presented by our friends. And it's okay. You don't have to be ashamed of this. At Valley Park Medical Clinic, dedicated to providing breakthrough ED remedies to men in the greater Twin Cities area. The treatments are surgery-free, drug-free, and non-invasive, and they will work with you in a discreet, professional manner to make you feel at home. Get control of your love life if you suffer from ED at valleyparkmedicalclinic.com, valleyparkmedicalclinic.com.
All right. Speaking of the Ryan Suter, Zach Parise era, let's go to the old timeline to Phil Mackey here. Go back in time a little bit. Go to March 18th, 2013. What I love about Zach Parise, I'm not sure anyone works harder on the ice than he does on any given shift.
I
think I'm safe on this one.
In 2013, that was 1,000% right, for sure.
I think I'm safe on this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
he worked his ass off.
Yeah, the issues with Parise were more like later in his career, breaking down, maybe some leadership stuff here and there. Not quite the Suter level.
Staying on the ice against the Golden Knights, being scratched for it, deservedly so.
All right, now Judd and I, we don't have to go back very far. For Judd, just about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, boy.
Pay the man his money. Fiala has earned it tonight. And now Judd claiming that he has cost himself millions with his playoff performance in this series.
Money, for sure. Yeah, that's a good one, Declan. You got me.
Pay the man his money.
You're out on this one? You're out on this tweet?
Well, compared to how he was playing on the night of April, I think that was 17th. Yeah, I was. It's not looking so good right now. I mean, he has 3 assists. He has no goals. He hasn't played well.
Well, the Fiala Stan himself, this executive producer, let's just go back to 3 days ago to May 8th. Fiala won't get the goal, but that goal starts because of him, so you can put your negative 22 takes in the trash can emoji.
Win,
actually, 42
Stan.
likes on this tweet.
You
I
and
love
Jealous
just
fans.
lashing, man. This is
Just
great.
lashing out.
I love how the youth lashes on Twitter about
They
their
do. They
favorite
do lash.
players.
They do
Like
lash.
their favorite players and people, they just lash out in defense of them.
Yeah.
I still
is
think
what
Judd
Bucks
takes the
does
cake
with
here.
this.
Judd,
Oh,
in
boy.
1
All
month,
right.
has done a complete 180, saying,
cost
pay the
himself-
man. Now he's like,
he's
pay the
cost
man, but
himself
pay him a
money.
lot less. He's not
All right.
quite worth it.
Listen, I will take the W. Thank you very much.
Nice job. Old tweets exposed. All right, Reckless Speculation Thursday. Are you not entertained? Thanks to Doogie for bringing his fastball today. Tomorrow, Feedback Friday. Tonight on the Purple Daily channel, a schedule release recap, an unveil, and also Wild Vent Line, Judd's Hockey Show on the Score North YouTube channel. Will they extend to a Game 7? The Hockey Whisperer's career is on the line tonight.
That's exciting stuff. And schedule release will come at a time of day when I suggest you all bring your Surleys, because I certainly will.
Attaboy. All right, boys. That's a wrap. Mackie and Judd, we'll see you guys tonight.